All right, I'm Adam, and I'm here to review Little Evil. Just got done reviewing Death Note, which is again I mentioned I watched it a couple of days ago here in my fiance's house. Um, just reviewed that, and then I also the next day I ended up watching Little Evil, which is another original Netflix film. It stars, I believe, Adam Scott is his name. I believe it is. Uh, it's a film. It's about a guy who ends up becoming a stepfather, marries this woman, and essentially the woman has a son. His stepson is essentially the Antichrist. That's the film. That's the premise. That's the plot. A guy who's got to raise the Antichrist, and essentially that's the movie. It's a comedy. That's the all you really need to know about it. What can I say about the film? It's not terrible. It's actually not bad. It's actually kind of good. It's got a lot of funny things in it. The main character, the guy who plays the stepfather, he's really good. He's really funny in the movie because he's essentially the straight man, and he's just wants to be a good stepfather to this kid, and he starts seeing these different things. People start kind of pointing out these things that are happening to the point where he realizes something's off. And then the little stepson it dresses like the Omen. It's a movie. It's a comedy, and it spoofs a lot of elements from the Omen, The Exorcist, Poltergeist. Has a little nods to The Shining, all that shit, and it's actually pretty well done. It's actually a really good movie. It pays homage to a lot of those things. The acting in the film was pretty good. I mean, it's nothing spectacular. It's nothing Oscar worthy, but it's a comedy. Everyone does their job very well. There wasn't really a dull character. There wasn't a character that wasn't interesting or at least had one moment of funniness or a moment to shine. There's this great scene I love. My favorite scene of the whole movie is with the big character goes to this like therapy group that's for stepfathers, where it's almost like an AA meeting but with stepfathers, and they're kind of talking, and then the one stepfather talks about his stepson taking a shit in his sock drawer, and about how he takes a shit in his sock drawer and how he had to climb, how he's like only like 5 years old, he would have had to climb on the dresser and would have had to hold the mirror in order to shit into the sock drawer. And he starts telling him how like, I got his backpack in my truck, so I was thinking maybe if we could all just get some shits in there. And like that part was hilarious. And the main character, he has a best friend named Al, who's a woman, but she's a stepfather. She's really funny in the movie. She's got some really good lines. It was a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed it. It's not the greatest film. I'll say that it was funny, but it definitely has some jokes that didn't hit. There's definitely some gags or some scenes that I think get drawn out just a little bit too long. It's mostly him and his friend Al, who I just explained is a woman who's a stepfather. It's mostly them two, but they show him with the other stepfathers from like the weird therapy group, and they're all pretty interesting and actually pretty funny, but they're not in the movie enough. And I think the movie really would have benefited from having more scenes with all of them, because a lot of them were actually really funny, but they're really only in the film for only like three key scenes, and that's it. The most of the time it's the main character and then his friend Al. That's mostly them. They have really good chemistry. They're pretty funny, but there is stuff that kind of falls short in the movie. There are jokes in it that don't really work out. So overall, I'm going to give Little Evil. I'm going to go ahead and give it. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I actually think it was a good movie. It's got a lot of heart to it, a lot of humor. It's pretty well written. Again, the downside of it is I think some of the jokes just don't land. There's some scenes that go on a little bit too long. And again, like there's characters in this movie that are very interesting, but unfortunately they don't really expand upon them that much, or they're not in enough scenes. I think they could have put these characters in a lot more scenes. There's good cameos in the movie too from a lot of horror actors or just famous actors that show up in the movie for a little bit. There's a lot of good references to other horror movies. Yeah, overall, not a bad film. If you have Netflix, give it a watch if you like horror, if you like comedy, especially if you're a fan of something like, Tucker and Dale versus Evil and shit like that, like those type of movies, Shaun of the Dead. You'll really like this film. I liked it. Again, it's not a great film by any means, but it's a good film. It's a film where if it was in theaters, I definitely would have said this would have been worth paying $12 to go see. But luckily it's on Netflix. So if you have a Netflix account, you know someone on a Netflix account, you got time, watch it. It's pretty good. To recap, once again, I give Little Evil a 7 out of 10. That's going to be it for this review. Once again, I was alone. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say please thumbs up the video if you like it. Please subscribe to the channel and please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of Little Evil if you saw it. Hopefully I'll be back again with Dan. We are going to see it next week when it comes out. There's nothing came out worth noting to theaters this week. Really wasn't anything. That's why I'm reviewing these two Netflix films, because these were the only things that were really that interesting that were out. So we'll be back probably next week with it. I'll be back with Dan, and until then, see you later. Have a good day.